This is lesson 1.4. Write equations and inequalities. Now again, what we're looking at is the language of math, translating the words, right, of a math problem into the actual math. Okay, so the other day we talked about what are the words that represent addition, what are the words that represent subtraction, multiplication, division. We're now going to talk about what words represent equations or inequalities. So first, let's just define those. An equation is a mathematical sentence. Now, you know, when you've got a sentence, right, in English, you need a subject and a verb, right? That makes a sentence. For a mathematical sentence or an equation, you have to have an equal sign, okay? It has to be formed by placing the symbol equal, okay? An inequality, right? And I really should put the right words in front. An is also a mathematical sentence. But this one is formed by placing the symbols, and there are several. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. An open sentence, and you will not have to remember this, but just because the book says it, I will include it, is an equation that includes, or inequality, I should have not left that part out, that contains or includes an algebraic expression, right, which you guys now know is n plus 2 or 3 times x or that kind of thing. Okay, now just as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division has certain words, so do equal and equality and inequality words. So for example, I'm going to write this each symbol and its meaning and the kind of words that you'll see in a word problem associated with it, because you need to take the words in a word problem and translate them into a mathematical sentence, an equation or inequality, right? So if I have this symbol right there, that means is equal to. But that's not the only way that you'll see it. Sorry for my bad handwriting there. That does say is equal to. The same as also works, right? X is the same as 6 means x equals 6, right? This means is less than. Well, we can also write that or see that as fewer than. If John has fewer cars than Michael, right, you'd have John less than Michael. Less than or equal to. This is less than or equal to. Now this one has a few more ways it can be said. You can say this is less than or equal to, but when you have a sentence, you'll find it worded as at most. You can be at most 3 feet if you want to go on this ride. That means you have to be less than or equal to 3 feet, right? Or you could also say you can be no more than 3 feet, right? That means you can't be any taller than 3 feet. You have to be less than or equal to 3 feet. Okay, we're going to have greater than. And again, this does mean is greater than. But you'll often see more than. And if you have greater than or equal to, associated words that you'll often see are at least, right? If we say it's at least going to be 70 tomorrow, that means it's going to be equal to 70 or greater than 70, right? If it's at least 70, it will be 70 or more than 70, greater than or equal to. If we say it's no less than 70, it means it's not going to be less than 70, so it's going to be greater than 70, right? But it's also going to be 70, right? It's not less than 70, but it doesn't say, right, it is greater than 70. So no less than means greater than 70 or equal to 70. It just can't be less than it. It is really important to take these words and write the correct equations when you do it. So let's practice with a couple of examples. Okay, let's look at example 1, which has 3 possibilities. A, again, the difference between a number, a number k and 8 is 12. Okay, now the difference between a number k and 8 is 12. Now I'm doing something different than the book, so don't rely on it, okay? Remember when I said the difference between a number and another number? You start with the first number, right? And then minus 8, because k comes before the 8, okay? And the difference between a number k and 8, and is always means the equal sign. So whenever you see is, substitute equal, is 12, okay? Now, the one in the book introduced a little bit more complexity, so I went backwards with this one. This one says the difference between twice a number k and 8 is 12. Well, here again, you're going to do the same thing. The difference between, excuse me, twice a number k, which comes first, and 8. Twice a number k is 2 times k, 2k. The difference, right, minus 8, because this comes first, it goes first. Again, is equal sign 12. Let's try another one. The product of 6 and a number n is at least, oh, I can just fit that and you can still see it, right? Is at least 24. The product of 6 and a number n, product of 6 and that tells you it's a multiplication, right? 6 times n. Product of a number 6 and a number n, of 6 and n, is at least 24. So I'm going to stick 24 there and think about that for a minute. At least 24. So before you write anything down, think about it. Is 25 at least 24? Yes, right? Because it's greater than 24. So it can be greater than. Is 24 at least 24? Yes, it is. So it can be equal. Is 23 at least 24? No. So my advice is if you get confused, try different numbers and see if they work. Because I do recognize this language can be very confusing when you first do this. Let's try C, and we'll finish up with this example. A number y is no less, that's your clue, than 5. It's no less than 5, and no more, and I'm running out of space, than 13. Okay. Let's try this. A number y, what is it in relation to 5, right? It's no less than 5. Is 6 no less than 5? Yes, it is, because it's greater, right? So y is greater than 5. Is 5 no less than 5? Yep, it is. So it can be equal. Now, what else can we say about y? Y is no more than 13. What is its relationship to 13? It's not more than 13. Okay, so it's less than 13, right? Can it be equal to 13? Is 13 no more than 13? Yeah, because 13 is not 14, right? So it can be equal. All right, so you could put it this way. Y is greater than or equal to 5, and you should definitely want to put and in between. Y is less than or equal to 13, but there's a really efficient way to do that that's better than this. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to keep the y is less than or equal to 13, but I'm going to flip this so that y, the big end, is still sticking towards the y, and I can still see that y is greater than or equal to 5. So a number y is no less than 5 and no more than 13. You would represent that way. Now that is pretty much one of the harder ones we would do. Okay, so I went through a lot just now, but it's very, very important. And I'm going to stop and ask you to do guided practice 21, page 21, number 1. And I'm also going to ask you to do one more if I can find it. Let's see. And then I'm going to give you another one like C to try out. A number Q is at least 5 and less than 17. Okay, so I'm going to give you these two. Number 1 on page 21, and this little extra problem. Do that before you do the second video that I'm about to start.